It's a great time to be a handheld gamer, especially if you want to play portable PC games on the go. Right now, you've got not one, but two relatively good, relatively inexpensive options for doing full PC gaming in a handheld device. The latest one is the Asus Ally, and I'm going to take a look at this and the Valve Steam Deck and help you figure out which one you should get. The surprise success of the Steam Deck back in 2022 showed us that there's a big appetite for being able to play full PC games in a handheld device that kind of looks and feels a little bit like a Nintendo Switch. Now, the next logical step from that is to take SteamOS, which was powering the Steam Deck, and replace it with Windows 11, which gives you a lot more flexibility in where you're going to install and play games from. A little bit more than a year later, here comes the Asus Ally, and it really does look and feel like a much more modern device. It looks and feels a lot more polished. It's a little bit lighter, but it feels much more ergonomic. But of course, the biggest difference is this ships with Windows 11, and that makes it a lot easier to access a larger portion of your game catalog, which is, of course, what everyone is going to want to do with it right away. There are other reasons besides just the operating system and the design that you might say, oh, the Ally is better than the Steam Deck. First of all, it's got a better screen. It's a higher resolution screen, Full HD 1920 by 1080, whereas the screen on the Steam Deck was just 1200 by 800. And of course, it's got a higher refresh rate on that screen, can get up to 120 hertz versus just 60 for the Steam Deck. That said, these are not high-powered machines. They're both running AMD CPU-GPU combos. It's a little bit more advanced in the Ally, to be sure, but I found in playing games, I didn't find anything that I would need 120 hertz on the screen refresh rate for. So with all these advantages, a more flexible operating system, a better screen, a nicer design, faster components inside, you might say, oh, well, this is clearly better. I should get the Ally, not the Steam Deck. It's not quite a blowout like that. There are some areas where the Steam Deck still wins. First of them is price. The Steam Deck starts at $399, goes up to $650 depending on how much storage you put in it. The Ally, this slightly fancier version here, the Extreme version, is $699. It does have a more powerful processor. It does have the 512 gigs of storage, same as the top-end Steam Deck. There's also going to be a lower-end version that I think is going to be $100 cheaper, and you lose some storage, but you also get a slower AMD CPU-GPU combo in it, and I think for the extra $100, I would probably trade up to the faster, more powerful version of this. Now, when I first started setting up the Ally, it came with Steam and I think the Xbox Game Pass PC version pre-installed. It had icons for other game services, but clicking on them just sent me to their website so I could download the Epic Game Store app, and I could download the Good Old Games app. And I installed those. It took a little while, but I was able to get games up and running on all of them. I was able to play the same games on the Steam Deck eventually, but I had to do a lot of Linux OS workarounds to get those installed, and you can find tons of tutorials online about how to do that. I did appreciate on the Ally, it was much more upfront about this, and there's even some menu overlays built right in from Asus that help you navigate between the different places where you keep your games. That said, the combination of navigating Windows 11 and navigating the Asus overlay software can be a little confusing at times. There are actually 4 buttons, 2 on each side of the screen. The one on the top on this side, they work kind of like the the menu and view buttons on an Xbox controller. So in most games, you know what those do. On the bottom side here on the left is a button that is the command center, and that gives you access to a bunch of system options. And then on this side, Asus calls it its Armory Crate software, and that gives you access to see what games and apps you have installed. That said, there are a lot of things you may need to do that are not necessarily easy to get to from these buttons or the control sticks or the D-pad or the triggers. Fortunately, there's kind of a secret menu of system commands. You use one of the paddle buttons that are on the back, kind of on the finger grips, and you combine the paddle button with either the D-pad in different directions or the face keys, and then you get some of the commands that you might be looking for, like show desktop is, left on the D-pad and the paddle. Now, gameplay-wise, I found my experience with the Ally to be very similar to my experience with the Steam Deck. On Steam, I was able to play just about all of the same games. One thing I was able to do on the Ally that was very difficult, if not impossible to do on the Steam Deck, is actually play Minecraft, and that worked great. That is something that takes a lot of extra work to get running on a Steam Deck. Now, of course, the Ally is very new, so new, in fact, that at the time I'm recording this, you can't even buy it yet. So there's a lot of those kind of early day compatibility issues, just like there was with the Steam Deck when that was first released. I think that over time we'll see even better performance from the Asus Ally. Right now, some games run better, and some games, frankly, still run smoother on the Steam Deck, even though it's technically a less powerful system. After having spent about a week with the Asus Ally, I think I can say that having Windows on it is both a blessing and a curse at the same time. Obviously, it's easier to get to different game storefronts and have access to a wider variety of games, but you're also dealing with Windows 11 using a 7-inch touchscreen and basically gamepad controls, and that ain't great. But all in all, it is a more advanced device with a better design and with faster hardware. I wish it had those little thumb touchpads that the Steam Deck does. That's really a game changer for me. But with faster hardware and a better design, I think with a couple of months of steady updates and additional support, I don't see how the Asus Ally does not evolve pretty quickly into becoming your go-to portable PC gaming platform. To read our full review of the Asus Ally and the Steam Deck and all the other content we have about these systems, you can check out some of the links below.